Well, hey everybody, this is Kimber, and I am coming to you today with a great topic of, do you have the personality of a rock or a rock star? Now, most of you that follow me have followed me because I had a radio show or a TV show or both at one point in time, and I have had several different podcasts. You also know, or you may not, that I have had a Mary Kay business for many years now. And part of what I love about Mary Kay is getting to share my knowledge with other people and train and lead and motivate and encourage women and men to live their best lives. And part of what that entails is going to training myself, going to workshops, listening to speakers, and always filling myself up with knowledge too. So I was on a call a couple weeks back, and it was led by an amazing woman who's been the top of the top of the tippy top of Mary Kay. Her name is Gloria Mayfield Banks, and she is just an amazing motivator, encourager, public speaker. She's literally traveled all around the world. She's been on stage with Oprah and the likes, and she has just an amazing ability to get you up out of your seat and moving. And she did this training on, do you have the personality of a rock or a rock star? That immediately got my attention, so I took a lot of notes, and I'm going to kind of turn it around into my own words, but I want to share what she talked about because I think it's something in today's age we need more than ever. Everybody has just been through it in the last several years. And for me personally, I'm just now finding my spark again and realized I was a rock. And I am normally a rock star. And I don't mean that just singing, although I have toured around the world singing, but I was never a rock star. It just means living your best life, getting out there and being proud of who you are and sharing wonderful things with other people. So Gloria talked a little bit about this in that training, and I took a lot of notes, so you might hear some rattling of paper. I'm going to go over what I wrote down, and hopefully it makes sense to someone out there. Maybe somebody out there needs to hear this, because I know I did. One thing that Gloria talked about was no matter what your personality is, it can be developed and grown even more so. So you want to know how to work on how to become a better you. And it's all about the people around you a lot of times. And of course, she did tailor this speech to the Mary Kay women or women out there who are entrepreneurs, who are building a team of people to work with and surround with themselves with. So do keep that in mind if I say something about building teams and you're not into that kind of industry or work and you kind of go, huh? Well, this is really geared to a lot of people like me who have a Mary Kay business, and we have teams of women that we have brought on, and we're trying to encourage and lead them too. So she did talk about, it's all about the people around you, your team, and that sharing is a gift. And especially in Mary Kay, for me personally, I've been doing Mary Kay almost 30 years now. I'm only 24, so I don't know how that happened. But one of the biggest things is sharing about the product and sharing about the opportunity. And it is a gift. It's not for me to decide if someone doesn't want it or does want it. It's just my responsibility to share it and let them make an informed decision about it. Gloria also talked about you have to be willing to change and to grow in order to build your dream team. And that is so true. Like I said, I've been in Mary Kay for many years, and I am going to use Mary Kay as an example because it's been the primary focus in my life for most of my adult life. As I have seen my own self grow, my confidence grow, I've seen the people around me change into more confident women and men as well. And those kind of people are attracted to me more now than whenever I first started, because when I first started, I was very young. I was 22 and literally had no confidence. I mean, I would break out in whelps. So I think this is a very true statement. You have to be willing to change and to grow. I hated public speaking. I hated talking. I hated my voice. I hated everything about being seen and heard. And now I thrive on it. So there's that, if that tells you anything in the last 30 years. And she also said, don't be so vested in yourself, like, this is who I am. This is me. We all know somebody like that. Well, this is just how I am, and this is who I am. Well, okay, it might be. And let me just say that you do have the ability to change if you truly want to grow in your life and have a more well-fulfilled meaning with your interactions with others. You have to be willing to be able to change. And don't be so stubborn as to say, well, this is just who I am. Gloria calls her videos that she does on Facebook GTV, where we keep it real, and I thought that was cute. I wrote that down as a note because she's so funny. She's so high energy, and she's just, seriously, will get you up before you know what you're doing. And she gave a couple pointers as she went into her discussion, and she talked about it's a decision to have a pleasant personality. You can make your day better by having a pleasant personality. It's not just about making other people's days better. And I know for me that really struck a chord because, believe it or not, I'm not a good morning person. I've never been a good morning person. I'm trying. I'm working on it. And I am saying in the mornings when I wake up, I'm a great morning person. I love to get up early in the morning. I love to get up and do things in the morning that make my day better. And is all of that true? No. But what I'm finding is as I do it more and more, it is becoming more and more true. And then the next thing she talked about, she said you have more energy when you do that. And when you give more energy, you will gain more energy. And that is true. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. Like, if you just sit around like a slug and don't do anything, everything around you kind of just drains out too. But if you get up and get moving, you start feeding off of your own energy vibes, and you can go and go and go. And it's true. It really is true. One of the questions that Gloria asked was, how do you receive a compliment? Do you receive it like, okay, let's just say this as an example, because this is so true of so many women. Somebody will say, excuse me, I love your dress. And the woman will go, oh, this whole thing, I only got it for like $3 off the clearance rack. I know that's not true in this day and age, but just roll with it. And it has pockets. Look at this, But I got it on clearance. It was just, that's not the best way. Yes, I want to know if you got it on clearance because I want to go get one too. But you have to be able to receive a compliment with sincere gratitude and the same energy that they gave you that compliment, and just say thank you and smile. I love your dress. It is so pretty. I love the colors. It makes your eyes pop. Thank you. And smile. You don't have to tell them you got it for next to nothing, or that your sister's cousin's boyfriend's sister gave it to you, because she outgrew it or whatever. You don't have to give them the backstory. Be confident in the fact that you own a beautiful dress and it makes you look great. That's just an example, but it is a very common example in my world. Another thing that Gloria talked about was, how do you give a compliment? And I was like, ooh. I love giving compliments. But there are some people, when I get a compliment from them, I'm like, oh my gosh, what do they want? It's like, hey, your hair sure looks pretty today. What do you want? Or, just that along those lines. But if someone is like, oh my gosh, your hair looks gorgeous, thanks. You can tell. You can tell how someone gives a compliment. So really focus in on when you give a compliment, make it sincere, even if you have to find something to be truthful about. Don't do a compliment on something that isn't true, because the person will be able to tell. And don't talk so much. Don't interrupt so much. Focus on the other person while they're talking. We've all known somebody out there that when you're trying to tell a story or have a conversation, the other person constantly interrupts you and doesn't have a clue what you've said to them. They're just waiting for you to hush so they can say what they want to say. I've been guilty of it with family and friends. But really, really, when someone else is talking, let them talk. Because if you listen, you make them feel so much more important and like they care, like you care about what they're saying, and they'll remember that down the road. Now, on the opposite end of things about, being a rock and just having no energy is there are sometimes people who have too much rock star in them. They're too extra. They just have a lot going on. And in Mary Kay, we do a personality quiz called the DISC, the DISC personality quiz. And a lot of people may be familiar with it and a lot may not. And the DISC stands for dominant, introvert, or that's not introvert. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. Steady and calm. Is it introvert? That can't be right. That is not. Oh, it's oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. It's where you can influencer. I knew I'd get that word in a minute. They're too high. It's like a cheerleader. A high I is like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader, as an example, since I just watched that. And sometimes you can say her I personality was so high she was almost a J. I personally, when I was younger in my 20s and 30s, had a very high I personality. I was very outgoing. I wanted to be the center of attention in every room I was in. Ask my friends that knew me back then. They can tell you. As I've aged and mellowed out, I've got a lot more dominant personality in me where just give me the bottom line and let's go. I'm going to cheer people on. I'm going to make them feel important. But as far as being the center of attention, only whenever I'm called on to do that. It's not a need anymore 24/7. And you don't want to ask a lot of small questions when you're talking with someone just so you can get the attention. Listen, really listen. That's very important, and that's a skill that is almost a lost art these days. Be mindful of who you're asking questions from, and don't say this. When you're talking to somebody or you interrupt somebody that is doing something, don't go, "Hey, I know you're busy, but." That but negates everything that you're trying to say about how you're not trying to interrupt them. It just negated everything you said before that. And I love this. I am not a phone talker anymore. Except for a handful of people in my life will I talk to them for hours on end. And they know who they are. If they hear this, they will know. But I don't like to do phone calls. I don't even do videos very long anymore unless I have to. And I talk to my best friend every single day on Marco Polo. But mine are short. Very short, and it's just who I am. It's not that I don't want to talk to her. I love her to death. We talk all day long, but I'm a lot shorter on my messages. So learn how to get off the phone. Know when it's over. Don't leave long messages unless it's necessary. Like if you are forced to leave a voicemail, most people these days don't check their voicemail. They will read a text. But if you have to leave a voicemail, make it short and sweet and to the point. If you, at all cost, if you can. And now this is something, I think I kind of went through some of her stuff and just listened real intently, but then I wrote this down, and it doesn't follow along with anything we've really talked about up to this point, but she asked the question, how effective are you at giving an apology? And I was like, ooh, oh goodness, the most confident people can apologize the fastest and without getting it twisted, whether they are right or wrong. They're more concerned with how you feel than with how they feel, and with making people around them feel comfortable. Now, they're not lying when they apologize, but if they were affected by the other person, then maybe it opens the door to an apology and a conversation that might be very well needed. So think about that. And the ability to receive feedback. This is a hard one for me. If someone's coming to mentor you, if you have someone in your life that mentors you and you're having a poopy day before they get there, let them know. You need to be able to tell them if you are what she called thin or thick-skinned that day, and keep it real so that your mentor knows how to talk to you that day. And it's not saying you want people to sugarcoat everything they tell you, but there's some days I can get honest feedback and you can be as brutal as you want and I can handle it. And there's other days where I'm like, if you even look at me wrong, I'm going to cry. And I can't explain it. Menopause. That's all I know to say. But seriously, if you have someone in your life that you trust to tell you the truth and to be real with you, and you're having a crappy day before they even open their mouth, just say, hey, just want to let you know, I'm not having a good day, so Just approach with caution with whatever you say to me. Maybe not be as blunt with me as you normally are. Because they need to know. That's the fair thing to do with them. And the ability to receive feedback in general is so big, because you can't learn and grow if you can't get feedback. And Mary Kay always used to tell us, I used to work at the corporate office, and then she always told the sales force this too: if you have any criticism for anything that somebody has done, always try to sandwich it between 2 layers of praise. Oh my gosh, Becky, you are doing an amazing job as a new consultant, and you're learning this so quick. However, I noticed this one little thing that you could tweak just a little bit and do a lot better with that if you did this instead of that. But listen, seriously, the way you interacted with Susie and showed her how to do the thing that she needed to do was amazing. You see how I layered that little critique between 2 layers of praise, and make it sincere. Make it something that they can relate to. Your personality will change too, depending on if you're in a small group compared to a big group. I know mine does. The smaller the group, the more open I am, and the larger the group, the quieter I get. That's just how I am these days. So she followed up and closed out this training session by saying, live your life out loud with no regrets. And don't always repeat yourself on calls over and over again. She did say that. That was what she just kind of squirreled, as I call it, from one. She bounced from that very cool live your life out loud with no regrets to, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell y'all, don't always repeat yourself on calls over and, like, we call it a Southern goodbye. I guess I'm going to get off this phone now. Oh, but by the way, the other day when I was talking to Mom, she said so-and-so, and then you go down a rabbit hole of talking about Mom and what all she said, and then 20 minutes later, oh, I got to get off the phone. So I appreciate it when someone calls me, they tell me what they need, we might gab back and forth for just a minute, and then we get off the phone. Now, there's, again, like I said earlier, there's people that I can talk to for hours, and it never feels like I've talked to them enough by the time I hang up. So, just gauge it when you're doing sales calls or calling someone for something that you're not very familiar with. Keep it short and sweet. They'll really appreciate you for that. So I'm going to wrap this up by asking you, are you a rock or are you a rock star? And don't worry if you think you fall somewhere in the middle to the bottom, because you can always develop your personality and learn and grow and become the rock star that you're meant to be.